So the 2026 Grammy Awards just made history. Not the performative, token diversity kind of history that institutions love to claim while changing nothing fundamental. Actual, groundbreaking, never happened in 68 years of this ceremony history. Bad Bunny won Album of the Year, the Grammys' biggest award, the trophy that's supposed to represent the absolute pinnacle of musical achievement. And for the first time in the entire history of the Grammy Awards, that trophy went to a Latin artist. Not a Latin crossover artist who sings primarily in English, not someone who compromised their sound to appeal to American markets, a Puerto Rican artist who makes music in Spanish for Spanish-speaking audiences rooted deeply in Latin musical traditions. By the way, welcome to Celebrity Hip Hop Showroom, where hip-hop and celebrity drama never sleep. So hit that subscribe button so you never miss the mess. Let's get into it. Bad Bunny, born Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, just became the first artist to win the Grammy's most prestigious award while staying completely authentic to his language, culture, and artistic vision.
Let that sink in. 68 years, since 1959. Through decades of Latin music influencing and shaping American popular music, through Selena and Shakira and Ricky Martin and countless artists who've dominated charts and culture, no Latin artist had ever won Album of the Year. Until Sunday night, until Debí Tirar Más Fotos. But here's the moment that's going to define how this win gets remembered. When they announced his name, Bad Bunny didn't immediately react. He didn't jump up. He didn't scream. He didn't do that performative shock that winners usually do. He just sat there, completely still, processing. For what felt like an eternity but was probably only 5 or 6 seconds, Bad Bunny sat frozen in his seat while the entire room waited to see if he'd heard correctly, if he understood what just happened, if he could process that his name had actually been called for Album of the Year. That pause, that moment of genuine human reaction before the performance takes over, that's what made this win real. That's what separated this from just another Grammy moment. Because in those 5 seconds, you could see someone's entire understanding of what was possible shifting in real time. Let's talk about who Bad Bunny beat, because the competition makes this win even more significant. Kendrick Lamar, the Pulitzer Prize winner, the artist who dominated the Grammys earlier in the night, the person everyone assumed would either win Album of the Year or lose to someone safe and expected. Lady Gaga, 13 Grammys already. Industry darling, the kind of artist the Recording Academy loves to reward because she represents both commercial success and artistic credibility. Tyler, the Creator, Grammy winner, critical favorite, exactly the kind of innovative, genre-pushing artist that usually wins this category when the Academy is trying to look forward-thinking. Justin Bieber, global superstar, massive commercial success, the safe pop choice if voters wanted to go mainstream. And Bad Bunny beat all of them. Not in a Latin music category, not in a genre-specific recognition, in the biggest, most important, most visible category the Grammys have. Now here's where this gets genuinely interesting and kind of suspicious. Nobody predicted this, like, at all. Every Grammy prediction had this as either Kendrick's to lose or possibly going to Gaga. Bad Bunny was in the conversation as a nominee, as recognition that the Grammys needed to acknowledge his cultural impact, but actually winning, that caught everyone off guard, including, apparently, Bad Bunny himself. Which raises questions. Did the Grammy voters genuinely listen to Debí Tirar Más Fotos and decide it was the best album of the year, or was this a conscious decision by the Recording Academy to finally, after 68 years, give their top award to a Latin artist and chose Bad Bunny because his album was legitimately excellent and commercially successful enough to justify the choice? And does the answer to that question even matter if the outcome is the same?
And if you're starting to realize this win is about way more than just one artist getting a trophy, that we're watching either genuine progress or calculated optics, or maybe both simultaneously, you need to subscribe to this channel right now. Because what happens next determines whether this is a turning point or just a moment. Hit that subscribe button because the implications of this win are still unfolding. Let's talk about Debí tirar más fotos, because the album itself is crucial to understanding why this win matters. The title translates to I should have taken more photos, which is already kind of devastating when you think about it. It's about regret, memory, the things we don't appreciate until they're gone. It's a deeply personal, emotionally resonant concept for an album. But here's what makes it revolutionary. Bad Bunny used that concept to tackle Puerto Rican identity, colonialism, political themes, and cultural preservation. He made an album that's simultaneously deeply personal and profoundly political. Music that makes you feel something while making you think about systemic issues. And he did it while still making songs that people actually want to listen to. That's the impossible balance that most artists never achieve: political substance and commercial appeal, cultural specificity and universal resonance. The album dropped in January 2025, first major release of the year, and it stayed relevant all year long. It dominated conversations, it sold millions, it became one of the best-selling albums of 2025, not despite being in Spanish, but while being unapologetically, completely in Spanish. That's what makes this win different from past Latin artists' success stories. Bad Bunny didn't compromise. He didn't add English verses to make Americans more comfortable. He didn't water down the Puerto Rican-ness of his music to appeal to broader audiences. He made a Puerto Rican album in Spanish about Puerto Rican issues, identity, and culture, and the Grammys, the institution that represents mainstream American music industry recognition, just said that album is the best album of the entire year. That's not just Bad Bunny winning. That's the validation of an entire approach to artistry that the industry has historically told Latin artists won't work for top-tier recognition. Now let's talk about that moment when his name was called, because it's genuinely revealing in ways that scripted acceptance speeches never are. Bad Bunny sat still, not moving, just processing. And in those 5 seconds, you could see the weight of history, of expectation, of disbelief, of validation, of everything, all hitting him at once. Because here's what that moment probably felt like. You grow up making music in your language, in your culture, for your people. The industry tells you that's limiting, that if you really want to be successful, you need to cross over. You need to sing in English. You need to make your sound more accessible. And you ignore all of that. You stay true. You make the music you want to make the way you want to make it. You find massive success doing it. You get nominated for the biggest award in music, but you don't expect to actually win, because that's not how it works. That's not what the history tells you is possible. Latin artists don't win Album of the Year. They win Latin Grammy categories. They win genre-specific recognition. They don't get the main prize. Except you just did. Your name just was called for Album of the Year, for making an album entirely in Spanish about Puerto Rican colonialism and identity. And your brain needs 5 seconds to catch up with reality, because reality just defied everything you thought you knew about what was possible. That pause wasn't hesitation. It was recalibration. It was Bad Bunny's entire understanding of the industry, of recognition, of what's achievable while staying authentic, all shifting in real time. And then he stood up, walked to the stage, and accepted the award that no Latin artist had ever won before. Here's the twist that makes this genuinely suspenseful despite the award already being given. We don't know yet if this is a turning point or an outlier. Is Bad Bunny winning Album of the Year the beginning of the Grammys genuinely recognizing non-English music as equal to English language music? Or is this the exception that proves the rule? One Latin artist finally breaking through after 68 years, and then another 68 years before the next one.
Will next year's nominees include multiple non-English albums being taken seriously for Album of the Year? Or will this be seen as, we already did that, we gave Bad Bunny his moment, back to English language dominance? The answer to those questions determines whether February 2, 2026 is remembered as the night the Grammys changed or the night the Grammys had a moment of diversity before returning to business as usual. And we won't know which one it is until we see what happens next year, and the year after that, and whether this opens doors or just becomes a trivia answer. The suspicious part, and why this feels like it might be more calculated than purely merit-based, is how perfect the optics are. Bad Bunny is massively commercially successful. His album sold millions. He performed at the Super Bowl. He's visible, popular, undeniable in ways that make giving him Album of the Year defensible to anyone who might question the choice. He's also making overtly political music about colonialism and Puerto Rican identity, so the Grammy voters can feel like they're rewarding substance and artistry, not just commercial success. He stayed in Spanish, so this reads as genuine progress toward inclusion, rather than rewarding someone who compromised to appeal to English-speaking markets. The album dropped in January and stayed relevant all year, so there's a narrative about longevity and sustained impact rather than just recency bias. It's almost too perfect, almost like the Recording Academy specifically wanted to give Album of the Year to a Latin artist for the first time, and looked at the field to find someone whose win would check every box and be defensible from every angle. And Bad Bunny was that artist. Which doesn't mean he didn't deserve it. His album is genuinely excellent, but it does raise questions about whether this was purely merit-based, or whether merit aligned conveniently with institutional goals of appearing more inclusive. If you want to follow whether this win actually changes anything, whether next year includes more non-English nominees, and whether we're watching history or just a moment, you need to subscribe to this channel. Because the real story isn't just that Bad Bunny won Album of the Year, it's what happens next. Subscribe now because we're going to be tracking whether this opens doors or just becomes a footnote. Bad Bunny won Album of the Year, first Latin artist ever in 68 years of Grammy Awards. He sat frozen for 5 seconds processing what just happened before walking to the stage to make history. Kendrick lost, again, but this time to someone who, like him, refused to compromise artistic vision for mainstream acceptance. The Grammys either just changed forever, or they had a moment of progress before reverting to type. We'll find out which one in about 12 months. But for right now, for this moment, a Puerto Rican artist who makes music in Spanish about colonialism and identity just won the biggest award in American music. And he had to sit down and process it, because even he didn't think it was possible. That pause is history. What comes next determines what kind of history it becomes. Debí tirar más fotos just took a photo the industry will remember forever. The question is whether they'll frame it as the beginning of change or the exception that proves nothing's really changed at all.